there, it's Brian back with another Backyard Blaincast. It's September 2025, my monthly chronicle from the streets of Toronto, also referred to as the Toronto Blues Diary. You can find that online where I post a lot of the video clips and I'm on the Substack now. So Substack means you can read it or you can listen to it on a podcast or you can watch it on YouTube. There's something for everybody there. But, I started this out writing the Blaine letter in 1990. Every month I would put out some commentary, and usually I had a gig or two to promote. Well, that has not been the case in recent days, and I'm learning to accept that. But I'm not going to lay down the guitar. I'm still getting it out, getting folks over to jam now and then, and making that out to some good shows, but wanted to start out by saying this September apparently has been a very auspicious month. Towards the end here, I think the 21st was a solar eclipse that included an alignment with Saturn, and I know it's supposed to have a great effect on my I'm a Virgo going into Pisces, and I think that was a critical time. And then I heard like a couple of days later it was going to be the rapture, and that was yesterday, I think, and kind of looked around. I don't see any friends of mine that have been rapturized, but it does kind of have that end of days feeling, when you've seen that cartoon so many times of somebody holding a sign saying the end is near, And if we ever could have got caught up in that, the end, some days it feels like, what's he going to do next, or the place will just burn up, with the climate thing that's happening, whatever you want to call it. But definitely when it's leading the news every other night, some sort of climate related thing, you got to wonder something's going on and I don't know what it is. But anyway, we motor along. I wanted to say about the shows. I did get out and about last week. I'm still got invited to the Polaris Prize Gala, and I was there back 20 years ago when it was a gala. I remember the big round tables and the big spread and free booze and good food, premium. It was quite an elaborate awards program that they had there with the Polaris when they started out. I got a feeling they had a lot of money. I kind of know, I guess. And I suppose it was slate dollars even back then. Can't say for sure, but the slates are certainly a big part of the Polaris now. They even created a second prize because the Polaris Prize is $30,000, and it's awarded to what is considered the most artistic album that anybody put out this year. Not sales-wise, not popularity, not how many followers you had or hits on Instagram. This was 200 music journalists all getting together and agreeing on 10 albums. There's a long list before that, but they get it down to 10, and that is the ones that they maintain are the most artistic works of the year. And so it's always quite something to go, because most of those bands show up and play a tune live. So you're sitting back in your banquet hall, which it wasn't a banquet hall anymore. It's actually the Massey Hall. But hey, that's not what do you say? That's not chopped liver. That was Massey Hall. They took out all the seats. They could do that now, but I found one off to the side, and It was a very young crowd, a lot younger than we would find at the blues events. But we got there early. I wanted to make sure I got a seat, and the bands came on. And before the bands, Mayor Olivia Chow herself came out, and she was terrific. Nobody introduced her, no pomp and ceremony or anything like that. It was just Olivia Chow stepping out and talking about the arts, how important it was in this city. And I believe she even said the words something like, housing for artists. I believe that phrase. I'd like to imprint that somewhere. Mayor Chow saying housing for artists. Isn't that a radical concept? I can't imagine anybody would ever say that out loud. Some would say the gallows for the artists. No, not really. You really, of all times, this is when we need the artists. But, Massey Hall, funny thing there, because I get this advance notice because I'm going on a media pass. And they tell me you can take video for the first minute of every performance. Okay. But if you had ever been to Massey Hall in all these years, if you ever pulled out a camera and you didn't have one of their Massey Hall badges on, you would get busted just like that. And it was it was something to behold. I got busted a couple of times, and then I learned how to be very discreet because I was still posting little clips, but anyway, now they say the first minute you can video, and no question about cameras. Everybody had cameras out, and it's a it's a new everything, isn't it? But they just kind of caught up with that. They were behind the times because everybody was shooting video with their cameras for the longest time now, and some places were still trying to police it. Well, good luck. But what else happened there at Massey? Did I see anybody I know? Not really. No, I I ended up. I can't remember who it was. I saw one familiar face, but then they did say one thing I noticed about the bands, and 9 of them showed up. 9 out of the 10 nominees were there in person to play a song, and I was trying to see, like, well, usually you would expect a lot of diversity out of those 10 candidates, and in this case, like 5 of them were fronted by female singers, I dare say, on the wispy side, not belters, and some variations of different kind of music, sometimes electronic behind them. And then there was a bit of a more of a showbiz, kind of dressed up and dance moves on one band. And the guy that won, I didn't think necessarily was going to win, but I'm going to run that. Let's run it down here. I'll start with the first band was. Let me see. I was going to talk about the controversies, because the first band you're going to hear, as they're starting the song, the drummer is shouting, Vive le Québec libre. I haven't heard that in 20 years or something. No, is there a revival that going on that I missed, that Quebec wants to separate again? I figured they were settled in. But there was this, but this is kind of reminds me of previous years at Polaris where it got a little intense, and I remember Lido Pimienta. She won one year, and she was, she was already upset about something. I think there'd been maybe a problem with the sound or something. She had something to say about that. But then she was very forceful in her talk, and didn't have too many nice things to say about the music business, even though she's kind of biting the hand. But anyway, and then I don't know if it was the same year or maybe a couple of years later, The winner was a band, a punk outfit with this huge overweight guy with his shirt off and dancing around. And the band was called Fucked Up. F U asterisk CKED up. I think they're still around doing stuff. They got a lot of nerve. You got to admit, having a name like that. But they were pretty aggressive, and but this time, no, it was kind of laid back a little bit. And the music, none of that music was attacked you. It was all very, I dare say, musical. But boy, you wouldn't hear no 3 or 4 chords at all. Not this year. It was like 9 or 10 chords, and then some. And sometimes no chords, just sounds. But, I even, I'm remembering back at the early ones where you would have a Joel Plaskett or somebody. Buffy St. Marie won it one year. But you would have some kind of rootsy, if not blues. I never saw anything remotely blues. But it did have a few roots representatives in the short list in the early years. Well, no longer. No, that's not happening. And we were I was reading the day after a post from a journalist. He's one of the jury members, Dan Tomensky, something like that. He lives out west and he writes about roots music. And he calls it Rootsicana. I thought, I'm going to start using that. I like that, Rootsicana. And he was kind of saying how each year he's trying to advocate for one album or another that is kind of maybe getting close to a level of acceptance from the community, the modern music community and journalists. But he was never really able to get one onto the short list. And this time, though, there was some kind of redemption because, thank you, Gary Slate, once again, because he created a second prize that they call the Heritage Polaris Prize. I guess somebody had the idea, well, there were a lot of great albums made before the Polaris Prize. That's only 20 years ago. So let's find an album that we love from way back, 30 years ago or whatever, 25, before the Polaris. And they had 2 prizes for that. One of them went to a band called, I think it was called The Organ. I never heard of them. But I guess 20 years ago they made an album that made a big impression. But the other artist was Jane Siberry. And how nice to see Jane Siberry getting a nod like that. And she got up and she gave the best speech of the night, too. And by the way, announced that she has a new album coming out shortly. And she is pretty rootsy, not bluesy, but that was a beautiful thing to see her get some recognition. Speaking of recognition, I recognized her right away once at Hughes Room. This was the old days when Hughes Room was in the West End, and it had stairs all around, and there was room to sit on those stairs, and oftentimes I would end up sitting on the stairs because all the chairs were taken, and with the diners. And anyway, at this time, I found myself sitting on the stairs, and Jane Siberry is sitting on the stairs next to me. And I guess it's on a break, and I can't remember who we were there to see, but it was probably some pretty established artist to get Jane Siberry in the house sitting on the stairs. But what happened then? What are the odds? She is a famous, iconic artist. And somebody comes up to me who saw me at one of my gigs around town, whatever, or maybe saw something on YouTube. And he coming straight to me saying how much he loved my music and maybe even quoting a song. And then I mentioned to him that I'd been playing in Europe, and then we were talking about that. And here's Jane Siberry, who's probably toured Europe like every year for decades upon decades. Myself, who's been like 2 or 3 times, but now she's sitting there smiling, elegant lady, and this guy's kind of going on still. I'm taking it in. Ah, yes, the trials of what's that Randy Newman tune? Oh, it's lonely at the top. Yes, yes, it is. And did I tell you about we had a little kitchen jam because it was Jesse Green's birthday, and we get together and jam every few weeks, and we got our little crew, which I'm always happy to expand, but usually ends up being the same folks. And we had a great time, and she brought along Richard Flohill. Now, any of you music industry insiders will recognize that he's the eminence grise, or maybe more likely the eminence blanc, because he's got long flowing white hair and he wears a long flowing white scarf. And he's 91 years old and still popping around town all over the place. And so here he is sitting in my kitchen, and we commiserated a bit because we had both been to the night before was the launch of the Kensington Jazz Festival. That's a new alternative style festival. It's kind of a club crawl, although there is an outdoor stage, a free stage. But all the clubs, it's $20 to hear the band, 1 hour set. Lay down your money, cash only, goes straight to the band. That is the Molly Johnson approach to running a jazz festival. And so a lot of musicians got some work, and they had a nice little launch event, which I dare say a lot of bigger festivals don't bother with anymore. Media launch, what? Who's going to give them any ink, even when they kick off their festival with, Dr. John or, some New Orleans greats. Anyway, in this case, it's mostly local artists, of course. And one of them, a piano player called Amanda Tossoff. I take my hat off to Tossoff because she knocked me out. I saw her play one time at the Jazz Bistro, and now I saw she's on. She's going to play at this launch party. So I went, and she starts with two Oscar Peterson numbers. I don't know his repertoire enough to recognize, but I bet you it was just note for note Oscar Peterson. How many piano players can do that? But I had picked up on a whole other aspect of her, which came out in a couple of other tunes. And she is one dynamite piano player in the jazz scene totally. And when I said, Mama, I wanted to barrel house, and she said, well, that might take me a few days to get in shape. I don't think it would. She looks like somebody who plays a whole lot. Anyway, what was I going to say about Flo Hill? Well, he's sitting in my kitchen now, and I can't resist saying, Richard, maybe you remember 25 years ago, I told you I had written a song about Lorena McKinnon. Now, Lorena McKinnon was a musician that played Celtic harp, and she played around town. And busking was her thing in the beginning, but she became a really important independent artist, and got signed to a label finally, but made such a deal with the label that it kind of shifted things a lot, I think, in the artist's favor, at least in her favor that time. The way I heard the story, I should have asked Flo Hill, he would know for sure, but the way I heard the story, she made her deal with Warner Brothers, but then when it came time for to send her a check, she asked for that amount of money to be taken in product at the wholesale price, which she was entitled to, presumably. So then she just had boxes and boxes of CDs to sell at her gigs, and she made the profit instead of the whole chain of command there. I'll get corrected if I'm wrong about that, but I put it in a song about Lorena, and I wrote this whole epic piece. We recorded it in my kitchen, and I had the guys from Downchild backing me up, and I never do this. It had a key change. It had like a whole tempo changed at one point. It was like epic. And we laid it down, and it had a kind of a rockin' feel to it. And then I guess at some point I ran into Richard Flohill, and I told him I've written a song about Lorena, and I'm so sad about her fiance drowning like that, and now she was ready to abandon music. At least I guess I kind of heard that. So I wrote this song to encourage Lorena. Lorena, don't put down your harp. Don't quit the music. Just you had a tragedy, and anyway, I write about the whole tragedy. And Flo Hill is going, ooh, no, that yeah, she wouldn't appreciate that at all. And then I think another friend of Lorena's, he had been her sound man, somebody that knew her, Paul Benedict. He said the same thing. Oh, Lorena, she's so private. And then I I did the right thing. I just shelved the song. It was never mixed. It just the master tapes, the tracks went on a shelf somewhere and forgotten. And I never performed that song either. And now, 25 years goes by. And, it wasn't, no, actually, it's more like maybe 20 years ago, 5 years ago, let's say 20 years after the fact, I come upon the handwritten lyrics for this Lorena song. And I'm going, that's a story. And so I now make up some more music for it. This time it's more in a bluegrass kind of flavor than the rocky thing I had going. But I had it went from rock to not. So I say to Flo Hill now, he's in my kitchen, and I said, remember about that song about Lorena? And I don't know that he remembered, but I sure remembered. And I told him, I've kind of recycled that song. I brought it back to life. And you don't suppose Lorena would be too upset. I mean, it's so much longer. It's a lifetime later. And so I play it for him, and I'll play it for you. But I have to say, at the end of it, he looks at me. No, she's a real private person, Brian. So like I don't think anybody's ever going to get to write a biography of Lorena if they're going to ask her for permission, because it's not going to happen. But let's see if I can get this tune down. She was just a street musician busking on the square. Then she got famous. She was touring everywhere. She loved to play, but didn't want to be a star. The Celtic angel who never meant to fly that far. But Lorena, don't put down your harp. It's a true musician story, and I think it's time to tell how a waif became a princess in a tragic fairy tale. Prince Charming lost and drowned in Georgian Bay, so deep and dark, broke her spirit, broke her heart. But Lorena, don't put down your harp. Well, an independent artist who would not be pushed around. Just ask the Warner Brothers how she stood and held her ground. She changed the music business, at least she made a start. A tough businesswoman, and she could really play the part. But Lorena, don't put down your harp. Lorena, don't put down your harp. Yes. So yeah, I'm not going to toss that song again. I'm holding on to it, but I don't suppose Lorena is going to. This is not going to drift into her orbit. I don't think. We'll see. It is the age of the internet. You never know what's going to show up. People Google themselves. I don't know if you've tried that yourself, but I have, and it's amazing. I found out that I'm an Australian actor who died back in 1963. But well, there's other thing there too. So the other thing that happened about these controversies at the Polaris was the Mustafa, one of the 10 finalists, was the only one that didn't show up to perform. And I haven't looked this guy up too much, but I believe he might have won it or he was on the short list in a previous years. It must be a genius, brilliant musician, but obviously a little political because I don't know, whatever reason he didn't show up. But his representative that accepted the award on his behalf was very, I don't know if she talked about Palestinian Gaza stuff, but she wore one of those kind of Palestinian scarves, and he donated his $10,000 prize to Gaza. And you got to wonder, how do you send $10,000 to Gaza? Yeah, I guess he must have a plan for how to do that. But that was a statement. So that's Mustafa. But meanwhile, I don't have his music. But I got to let me run it down. I've created a video compilation here. It's all in one piece down on the YouTube. But here, let's just go through it, and I'll tell you who it is. Maybe I can split my screen on this, I wonder, or maybe I'll just have to go away. This is the first group I was talking about. Population 2 they're from Quebec. They're the ones that were shouting "Vive Québec Libre" at the start of their performance, and I guess they're from Quebec. Activists, as they say in Quebec, militants. So that's Population 2, like I said, probably from Quebec. The next group up was Ribbon Skirt. They are indigenous. I don't know where they're from. I didn't pick up on that, but they had an indigenous vibe and an indigenous present. Good for them too. They go.
Sioux Lookout, Ontario, with their first ever Polaris nomination for the album, Bite Down. Here are Ribbon Skirts!
That was Havaya Mighty, by the way, previous winner and MC for the night, and did a great job. Oh yeah, you got that vibe. feel there. And I like the little bunny in the background. They had interesting visuals. That's Ribbon Skirt. Then Marie Davidson, she was the one that started the whole show, and she was a very modest, sweet young thing. And she had a big DJ table, room for 4 turntables, but I think she probably just had a little drum machine and maybe one other thing. And she was just hit the switch and danced around and had a very upbeat approach like Marie. This is what she sounded like. Yeah.
But people, let's get sexy.
Let's get sexy.
Do it candidly. We all hope for the best. But maybe could that be just a little bit funny? Don't try to flatter me. Don't tell me you're impressed. I know what you're here for. The backstage exists. Access is over. Try to keep you cool. Pin my innocence, make you feel vulnerable. Don't worry about me. Don't display your regrets.
Saya Gray!
Oh, yeah, okay. Next, Saya Gray. Hear this gal. She she was a great guitar player. That guitar lick you hear at the beginning is Saya herself. Well, everybody was playing the lick, I think, at that point. That's quite a little scale there. Yeah, once again with the kind of wispy vocals there, maybe that's the trend for this century. But I kind of prefer the blues belters myself. And the next gal up, Nemesis. Now she's a previous winner, I believe, and now was nominated again, or maybe she was just a previous nominee. But whatever. Nemesis has got something going here. Let's.
You're gonna hate me, 'cause once you know what's lying underneath, judgment shows I'm not deceiving, and you chose how you want to see me. And this sweat I'm wearing, you ask the road, I don't know, but these are vital on jeans, wash out the hue, might make it better, they look cool on anyone but.
Yeah, that's Nemesis, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this was on the CBC Gem. They broadcast it on their on-demand station, and I haven't checked it out up there yet, but I think the whole broadcast, the whole concert, is up there on CBC Gem, and it's probably worth going and seeing the whole thing. It was chock full of music that evening. Now, this is a group called OBGMs. They put on a nice old-style showtime with outfits and things. Let's see where they go here.
Yo, man,
This is how they started.
before you turn, you gotta do at least 2 consistent months of therapy. I'm asking for you. Whenever we talk, it's like, how are you? And you launch into my stuff, which I appreciate, but when we go talk about you, nigga, you would never bring yourself up. You're just so helpful to other people. But who watches the watcher, dude? Someone's gotta help you. You gotta let your friends be your friends. And if you won't let me be your friend, you need a therapist to be your friend.
Yeah, it got pretty rappy at that point and jumping around. It's a pretty slow build. When you know you've got just one tune to do, you would expect like the whole band would be on stage to start it, but they had their own approach. And like I said, it was showtime. They put on a good set. I bet a night of the OBGMs is something special. And what do we got? BB Club. Now, I love this. Would have been my choice, I think, because they did so much with just two people. They really knocked me out, and the visuals were pretty amazing too. Take a look, and if you're watching on the YouTube, take a listen. I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah, they got something going for them. And next we got Lou Adrienne Cassidy. And this is another young, earnest female vocalist. And I bet she's going places too. But it makes you wonder, like, they didn't even try to have some kind of diversity in terms of the configuration of these groups, because like I said, like most of them were from Quebec. Most of them had a young female earnest wispy vocalist, but that's what happens, I guess, when you're trying to do it without any conditions. You're listening to an album and you give it a rating, and then they get it tallied up. And I suppose there's some discussion. There certainly is a big discussion in the end. And as it turns out, in the end, the winner, as you will see, was not a young, earnest female wispy vocalist. But here's what Lou Adrienne sounds like. And this takes us to the winner of the Polaris Prize. 30 grand he gets. And he was, I'm sure he'll make good use of it. His name is Yves Jarvis. He's a guitar player that, had kind of big hair and a real guitar slinger. He was playing some beautiful stuff just on the one tune. I wouldn't mind hearing him for an evening. But when I saw him doing his tune, I didn't think this had winner written all over it. And yet, Yves takes the Polaris Prize home. Let's let you hear what he sounds like in the little moment of his acceptance speech.
Oh, yeah, the perfect fatigue. She put the
Chris Eve,
Thank
winner.
you so much.
There he is.
I'm honored.
Given
I'm
his,
really honored. I was just honored to be nominated at all.
seems like a
I'm,
modest young
shocked.
man. And he takes it home, and I hope he'll use that money to, well, it'll probably cost him $30,000 to finance a big cross-Canada tour and maybe break even. But good luck to Eve Jarvis and all of these folks. The one you did not see was Mustafa, who I mentioned. He's it'd be interesting to see what he's up to. An interesting artist. And here, after the event, I got invited to the VIP after party. Imagine, and sometimes I wonder, I get invited to a Massey Hall thing. I don't know if it's still like this, but at the time, I think somebody told me that like they've got 10 media allocations. And you got your Star, and you got your Globe, and you got your CTV, and you got your CBC, and a few other print media. And sometimes, I guess if the Globe guy decided not to go, they might call Brian Blaine and say, here's a ticket. And I always love to take advantage of those things, but nowadays I'm not sure how it goes because everybody's pretty hard-pressed to get any media attention in the arts. Remember when there was an arts section? You would turn the pages and there would be all kinds of stuff, but we still got Brad Wheeler and Nick Cruan and Nicholas Jennings. I don't know if he writes for a daily or not, but we got some people and they have to go sell the story. Every time they want a few columns, they got to go and fight for it. Big respect for those guys. And like I said, I wish I could say I'm still print media because for 35 years now I've been the editor of Maple Blues, and some of us called it a magazine. It was a newsletter. It was 16 pages, maybe sometimes even 20 pages. But it was print, and it was distributed, and people got to hold it in their hot little hand. Well, regrettably, the economics of all of this kind of decided the Blues Society to just go by electronic. So I'm still making the newsletter, and it goes up every month, and you have to just go. You can download a PDF, but I don't imagine too many people do that. It's probably more like, reading a few things online. There is one big motherfucking long story this time. I don't know who's going to stick with on their computer screen long enough to read it, but it is worth the read. It's a long interview with Chris Strackwich. He founded Our Holy Records and discovered a lot of those old blues guys, and he's got a lot of stories. It's a beautiful thing. But back to Polaris here. The after party was being held in the I think it's called the Trinity something church. It's right behind Eaton Center. A beautiful old church, but they've renovated it. They took the pews out and they made a big open space, and I guess they use it for a lot of special events. And now it was going to be the after party. They had a DJ up there, and they had a band who were called Teke Teke, and they are Japanese surf punk. Well, you'll see for yourself, and I'll leave you with that. We had an after party, and now you get a peek. And check out this beautiful church here. We were walking up into that church, and then I walk around. I did a little camera thing. It was pretty dark in there. But, there you go. Here you can see. There wasn't very many people when I got there, but it filled up. And there you have it. That was, oh my God, this is what's coming up. CJ Chenier. And, oh, there's our guy, David Frum. He's got a lot to say. And Sad Guru. I should play some clips of his, but I could go nuts if I just started grabbing stuff off of YouTube. But this is my playlist, I guess, of stuff that this is stuff that the algorithm thought I would enjoy seeing. So there's Gavin Newsom chasing Trump out. We'll see about that. And there's Sad Guru, Before You Die, You Should Know This. I guess you could Google that and find it for yourself. The guitar player here, who is that? It might be the guy from Pink Floyd. And the bass player I don't recognize, but I'm sure it's somebody that I'll like because the algorithm says so. And here, I'm going to leave you all with a shorter video montage from my Friday night on the Danforth. Let me tell you about that. I went up to see a friend has a tribute to Elton John. She calls it Elton Joan. And she wears the big funny glasses and a big hat. And she had a great band, mostly women. One guy that came up and played guitar, but then he wasn't. Anyway, I've just barely got a little clip of them in the dark. But I figured, well, I'm out and about now. So I went to her thing. And then I also went to the Black Swan, where they have their regular Friday jam. I poked in for a bit there. And amazing, these guys, it's the same crew pretty much. And I got a feeling they all have their go-to song and they get up for the jam and they have a great old time. But you do that 1 year after another, you get better, and all of these guys are getting better. There was some real ripping guitar solos, but I had come to see a band from Ireland. Johnny Max was in Ireland, and I guess he kind of discovered this power trio. They were called Delta Fuse, and they knew how to play the blues, and he recognized they had some good energy, and maybe they said, we want to come to Canada, and he said something like, maybe I can help you, because he booked them at a bunch of festivals, but this Black Swan date was kind of something they just dropped in. At least they made a Toronto appearance, but it didn't get promoted and nobody knew about it. And there was nobody there. And I get there and I'm practically the only person. And but I watched, they did a set and I thought they were great. Somebody should have told that kid, though, that the Black Swan does not like single coil pickups. If you have a Telecaster, or even a Stratocaster, well, I guess a lot of people are using them, but there's always been this buzz problem because I think it's because all the streetcars are right behind the Black Swan there. Whatever, it's always been a unfriendly place. You want to have a humbucking pickup if you're playing the Black Swan, tip of the day. But he didn't, and so maybe he was a little flummoxed, but he did great. Bass player was tight and playing a lot of interesting stuff. And so I got to see their set. I even kind of said hello because they came downstairs. I don't know how they felt. Imagine you're the touring band. You might be a big deal in Dublin, and now you come to Toronto, there's nobody. And then you go downstairs where the free Friday night jam is happening, and it's packed, And so anyway, Johnny got them up on stage, and my friend Jesse Green got up with them. So you'll see Jesse sitting in with them at the end. And that is Delta Fuse, and now they've played Toronto, and I betcha they'll be back. We're going to go up to Danforth. I could walk up there from my place. And the Black Swan, which was a veritable blues shrine when I arrived in Toronto. A lot of the touring blues acts, they would be playing a big show somewhere in town, the Horseshoe or the Brunswick House. But now on the Saturday afternoon, they would usually be a special guest at Gary Kendall's Jam at the Black Swan. Now the Black Swan has kind of changed around a little bit. It's not the music destination it used to be, but this guy Mike Sedgwick, he has a happening jam going on there, and this is what I walked into. And then we went over to the Linsmore. My friend who you see here in the shadows, Joan Marshall, she has a tribute to Elton John. She calls it Elton Joan. It was so great to see Joan. I hadn't seen her in a long time. And she's got this act is really happening. You know, it's a pretty tight band, mostly women. And they're covering Elton John, and I think they're doing other stuff, Supertramp or stuff that might be around from that period. Here's a little bit of Joan, and that's all I captured was a little bit. And now, this was the main reason I decided I'm going to get out tonight, because there's many a night when I'm ready to get out. I've even made it to the door and realized, no, I don't need to go out clubbing. I need to go upstairs and take a nap. And that was what's been happening in my old age. Can I say that? And but this time I wanted to hear these young guys, and I wanted to encourage Johnny Max because he was promoting this show, and he brought these guys over from Ireland. He saw them over there and thinks they're, was worth bringing them over to introduce them to the Canadian blues scene. And regrettably, I think they had some great festival plays, but this time they're in the Black Swan in Toronto, and it was not very well promoted. It was a last-minute thing, and the guys ended up playing to a mostly empty room. And I'm glad I was there, and they did put out, and even though the guitar player had a few little issues with trying to manipulate his single-coil pickup on a Telecaster in a room, and everybody around this town knows if you're going to play the Black Swan, you ought to have a humbucker pickup. Humbucker. And there's a reason for those. And the Black Swan was one very good reason. But anyway, they got up, they did a little bit. There's a little bit of them doing Schoolgirl. And then I went downstairs, and in fact, buddy Mike was going to get me up to jam, but then here's a touring act, they get a little bit of priority, so they got the stage, but my friend Jessie got to sit in with them, and she was burning it up. I'll skip across to her guitars. Well, we'll play a little bit here. And Buddy that was having trouble with the humming guitar also broke a string. And it was like, welcome to Toronto. Now, I remember my first time at the Black Swan Jam, walking in there, and well, probably the first time I didn't get to play at all because nobody knew me. Second time, came in and got up to the stage, and I plugged into the Fender amp. But this, I'm just a kid from the hills of Quebec. A Fender amp, I only seen those on TV or maybe on a. There wasn't hardly any live music in Sherbrooke, and I hadn't seen much of it. And certainly, I had never plugged into a Fender amp. And there's a trick to it, you know. There's a couple of toggle switches at the back, and they both have to be on. So the band is counting it in, and I haven't figured out the amp yet. And nobody is going to help me, you know. Like, if you don't know how to plug in and turn on a Fender amp, then maybe you don't belong on this stage, you know. Anyway, that's my Black Swan introduction. Oh, yes, and then I went back to my seat and somebody had stolen my leather jacket. So that was my welcome to Toronto. I hope these guys didn't get any jackets stolen, but they did encounter what so many bands, they come to Toronto. They're a big deal in their town, you know, and they come to Toronto, and Neil Young, Bob Dylan, and Willie Nelson are all playing the same night or something. And no, they're not going to get a big crowd, but you have to work up to it, you know. So I'm glad the young Delta Fuse here made their entree into Toronto, and I'm sure they'll be back. But let's go to them playing with Jesse here. I think that's where he broke a string. Let's just go forward. I think Jesse plays a solo around here at some point. I guess he's going to leave the stage. There's Jesse. Come on. Well, there's nothing like changing a string on the fly, eh? And I didn't get his name, the young man in this band, but they're called Delta Fuse. Watch for Delta Fuse, and let's see what happens if we switch back to the garden here. Here I am. And I guess it's, have we seen enough? Like that was this is probably going to be a lot of music that's, you know, just iPhone video type sound. It's not the greatest, but this was my first time to try to get you the usual Blaine letter, which is going to be on Substack and which will be in your inbox there right now, probably. And also on the podcast, This is only the second time I've tried to do the podcasting thing. I don't know if I'm on all the podcast outlets, but we're working up to that. And then I guess if you're watching me in person, hi there, we're on YouTube, or you might be watching the video on the Substack. I mean, is this getting complicated or what? And I used to like to end with a quote of the day, but I can't think of a quote for today, except what Richard Flowhill said at the party. It's too late to stop now. So thanks for listening if you got this far, or thanks for reading, and or thanks for watching. See you next time.